What would you say if I told you I went to a normal garage sale that advertised having a lot of geek items, came home with this stack of books that had Bronze Age, Modern Age, helped me fill in some runs, and even had some keys? You'd say I'm using a lot of air quotes, but then you'd say, sounds like we're going on a comic book adventure. Check it out. Alright, welcome everyone. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Northgarden Comics. Like I said, this episode is another installment in my series called My Comic Book Adventures. And that's where I show you the good comics I find for great prices at different shows, sales, and conventions. I will add that this is a pre-stay-at-home order adventure, so no unnecessary risks were taken in the obtaining of these comics. The sale was billed as a normal garage sale, but the seller did say he had some geek items, including comic books. So I figured I would check it out. Got there real early, looking around his driveway, didn't see the comic books, looked into the garage, still didn't see any comics, so I finally asked the seller about the books that he advertised online. And he said, hey, follow me, and proceeded to lead me into his house. Now I will say too, I don't advise generally just walking into any stranger's house, but this was a garage sale, there were other people around, so I wasn't alone in somebody else's house at any time. So just be wary when you're going into someone else's home. Went into this guy's house, and he took me to where he had like his kitchen, dining room, living room area, and my eyes got big, my heart started to pound because he had like 20 long boxes, all the lids off, of books stacked on the island, on the coffee table, on the floor. And he said, hey, go for it, everything's $1 a piece. And so I start to twitch and I don't know where to start. And I gotta organize myself to get through these boxes here and not miss anything. And started to look through. They were not very well organized. They were somewhat alphabetized within a box, but the boxes were not in order. So you were all over the place. And as is my habit in a lot of these sales, I will pull out the Key Collector Comics app, and I'll use that because while I don't hunt specifically for keys, I am primarily a runs collector. I'm not going to shy away from a key, especially if it's only $1. So I had that out and I start looking, and then of course, maybe you've been in this situation before, other people start coming in and they're looking at the books too. And then I start to panic and think, they're going to get to all the books that I want before me. But then I have to take deep breaths and just systematically go through one box at a time and find what I can add to my collection. And I came away with 25 books, was able to fill in some runs. I did actually snag a couple keys, again for $1 a piece, and everything's from the Bronze and Modern Age. So that's enough talking out of me. Let's zoom in and let me show you these books. All right, as we get started, I've got 25 books to show you. Everything was $1 a piece. Some of these books came bagged and boarded. Others were just raw, naked books in the long boxes, but all of them in very good shape. And I've grouped them all by title so you can see some of these little runs that I've put together and filled in. All right, starting out of the gate here, we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 30. This is from the second volume of ASM, and you can see the legacy numbering here, number 471. This marks the beginning of Straczynski's run on ASM, and art done by John Romita Jr. This is not a run that I was collecting prior to this sale, but for me, in collecting runs, sometimes all it takes is a small selection of issues in close proximity to jumpstart that desire to have the run, and I like Romita Jr.'s art. Straczynski's run on ASM is well known, but the opinion on it is divided. Some of the things I've read say that he started out stronger and then later was giving more to editorial mandate, but this marks the beginning of his run, and I was able to get like 5 issues, and that's enough for me, and now I'd like to complete the rest of this run. But this sale, at this sale, I was able to pick up number 30, 32, 33, 34, and then 35. A good little start to that run there at the beginning of that. Shifting over here to some Captain America. I don't have a lot of volume 1 of Captain America, but this is an example of a book that was in good condition at only $1, and it's a lower number, and so it's hard for me to leave those behind when I really like the character. So this now represents the lowest number Captain America issue that I have, at least as of now. This Captain America number 332 It's a minor key. It represents when Steve Rogers stepped down or resigned as being Captain America. Not trying to fill in any particular runs, like I said, around this number, but for $1, wasn't going to leave it behind. And then this was a really cool find. Captain America Annual number 8. Very famous cover by Mike Zeck. This does carry some value to it. I was not particularly looking for this, but again, I'm not going to leave it behind at the price. Kind of my view on keys is I like keys like everybody else does, but if I'm going to spend money, I'd rather have several less expensive books and put a story together to read rather than spending several dollars on just one book. But I do like finding these in the wild, and some of it's just the satisfaction and that excitement of finding something that goes for much more money for such a low price. So happy to pick that up. Shifting gears over here to some Daredevil. This represents part of a run I'm working on. It's the Ann Nocenti, and well, art here is Romita Jr. again. I don't know if I'm saying her last name correctly, but the Ann Nocenti run is very famous and a really well-renowned run on the first volume of Daredevil, so I'm trying to put this together. Also, I'll say that a lot of the issues in the kind of the 200s, you can find them pretty commonly and usually for pretty inexpensive. The challenge I find is getting them in good condition. A lot of times the pages have yellowed, or that newspaper print does not preserve very well, so that's usually reflected in the books. These were in good condition though, so I grabbed them. This is number 253. 255 is the second appearance of Typhoid Mary. Again, this is another minor key. First appearance of this character, Blackheart, at number 270. I got it, though, for filling in part of the run. 272. And that's it from Volume 1 of Daredevil. Here we shift to Volume 2 of Daredevil that started in 98. The part of this volume that I have been working on is the Bendis Malieve portion of the run. That's what drew me to it to begin with, and I love the character of Daredevil. But these early issues were when Kevin Smith was writing, Joe Quesada was doing the art, and they usually sell for more than $1 a piece. So again, not going to leave them behind when I can get them so inexpensively. Number 2, cool Black Widow cover there. Love this cover, and I think they did the homage to it even in the Netflix Daredevil series with Matt Murdock on the roof. Maybe it was just a trailer. It may have appeared briefly in one of the episodes. I don't remember which one. I want to say it was season 3. I could be completely wrong on that, but he's in the black mask, just listening to the sounds of Hell's Kitchen, ready to jump out and stop crime. Number 4, and this is a really cool Quesada cover, I think, with Daredevil and Spider-Man. You know, I'm not sure how I feel. I kind of have a love and kind of a humorous reaction to this type of style that was popular in the 90s. You know, Todd McFarlane really popularized the webbing of Spider-Man when he was doing that series, but then this here with Daredevil's, what do they call it, his batons there, that's just some crazy wiring that he's got going on there, but love the cover. Going over here to Iron Man Volume 1, another title where I don't collect a lot. I did try to put the Armor Wars story together, and there's some other runs. Was it Demon in a Bottle? Want to collect those issues, and I have a couple of them so far. But this was, again, from the Key Collector Comics app, marked as a key for the first appearance of the Ghost, who was one of the adversaries in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's retained some of its value, but again, I only got it because it's considered a key, has some value, and I was able to get it for $1. This was a really cool find, in my opinion. So this was after Stan Lee had passed away that I picked this up, and of course that raised the value of it. And I have a few later issues from Marvel Age that I collected when I was a kid. Never had this one though, but that's just a great Stan Lee cover to have and add to my collection. Number 150 of Marvel Team Up. This was actually the last issue in this volume. I got it just because it's number 150 and it's the last one. I am working on a sensational She-Hulk run. I've probably only got 8 or 9 issues so far of this volume, and this is number 50. This also had the added bonus of that emerald green metallic reflective cover to it, which is really cool and representative of the times. Here's a reprint, Tales to Astonish, Submariner. I don't remember what year this reprint came out, but just thought it was cool. Mighty Thor. I love the character of Thor. I've been following Thor much more closely in recent years, starting with Jason Aaron's run on that character. But going back to the first volume of Thor, the biggest things I'm trying to put together there are really Walt Simonson's run. Love his art and his covers from his time on the book. But because I love the character, another example like Captain America, when I find a lower number for cheap and in good condition, I'm going to grab it. And so again, similar to Captain America, this now represents the lowest numbered Mighty Thor Volume 1 that I own to date. Here we get into some Ultimate X-Men. Let's raise this up a little bit here. Ultimate X-Men number 1. This is a run that I am working on presently. I've probably got half of the issues of this 100-issue run. I only ever had the free comic book day version of number 1, and in the same year I've been able to find 2 first prints of number 1. Both, I think they were for $1 each, so I just grabbed it because it was $1. And then the last 2 books here, Vision and the Scarlet Witch. This was the first kind of solo series these two had together. I haven't read these yet. I'd like to put them all together if I can for cheap. But they had number 1 and number 2. Again, good condition, older books. Fun to be able to find them when they're so inexpensive. Well, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to do it for this comic book adventure. I hope you liked some of the books that you saw today. If you have questions or comments, let me know down below. Also, if you like seeing hauls like this where people find good books for cheap, check out this other video where I picked up some cool DC books and runs for $1 a piece at a different garage sale. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.